Hey, what's going on, everyone? As you can obviously tell from this video, it's going to be a massive Blu-ray collection showing off. And technically, I have one DVD, and I'll actually start off with that because it's the only DVD I have and probably will have for a good while. But yeah, I'm going to start with that, and then I'm going to get to the Blu-rays right after that. But before I get into this, hey, what's up, Brian? I'm sorry, you liked a photo of mine. Anywho's, I just wanted to wear the hat for old time's sake. I haven't worn the hat in quite a while. I used to do that when I did Blu-ray updates and specifically movie reviews. So I felt like I wanted to kind of give a nice little throwback to wearing the hat. So yeah. But anywho, let's go ahead and get started with the DVD that I bought, and I'm going to show to you. I always thought this film was a little notification. I always thought this film was kind of underrated, and here it is. It's the film Back to Back with Michael Rooker. You also have Ryle Ishbashi, which is this character here. You also, if you can tell here, you also have Danielle Harris there. You have Bobcat Goldthwait and another actor by the name of John Laughlin, if I'm pronouncing his name. I always thought this was a fun little low-budget action film that I always enjoyed. Kind of got it for Danielle Harris, but always looking back, I thought Michael Rooker and Ryle actually had some good chemistry that played off of each other. And I actually won this on a bid on eBay, and plus it was cheap too. And thankfully, no one else bid on it as well, so I ended up paying $11 and change total for this. It was the cheapest price to get on eBay, so I doubt that you can really find this anywhere at a movie store and everything. So yeah, and there's something else. Oh yeah, you can get this movie for free, I believe, on Tubi, but there is no subtitles on there. Here, at least this has the subtitles because there's a moment where his character and another character are talking in their native language of Japanese, so it's easier to kind of understand what they're talking about, and it's a good clarification for the audience. So yeah, but anyways, I'm glad to have this film. It's probably the cheapest price I'm going to get it. So yeah, fun little film. Definitely should watch it. And now on to the Blu-rays. What I got here. Sorry. Top chat. Is anyone even visiting? Okay, I got Brando in here. So curious to see what's going on. Sorry about that. Anyways, back on the subject. I'll start with the ones that I got earliest. And here's one that I bought pre-owned, but it still looked like new, and it was the cheapest price. I tried to get a brand new copy, but they sold out, so I thought I should get this. And that's the film Little Monsters with Fred Savage. I always thought this was a fun little flick, and I have another Fred Savage film that also came out that same year, which was The Wizard. But I remember this was a little fun little childhood film right there for me, because the chemistry between Fred Savage and Howie Mandel, they made it work, and you also have a good amount of features. You have some interviews with Howie Mandel. Fortunately enough, unfortunately, Fred Savage isn't really interviewed. I mean, there is a vintage interview of him, but not when he's an adult. So it's kind of sucks that he doesn't want to give his thoughts on it. But anyways, I'm glad to have this. Next up here, I always thought this was an underrated little suspense crime thriller, and that's the movie Unforgettable with Ray Liotta and Linda Ferrantino. You got a fair amount of features on here, surprisingly enough. You got making a featurette. You got some unedited B-rolls, trailer, and sound bites. And a lot of the Blu-rays that I bought are actually Kino Lorber, and the majority of those don't really have a whole lot of features. They just have like a trailer and a commentary. So, but this is always a decent flick. I'm glad to see this get a fairly okay treatment. So yeah. And then next up here, I'm going to go ahead and do these Blu-rays here. separate that. These were from different sellers. I'll go ahead and do this one. I haven't fully watched it, but this is a Tom Selleck film, and this is a film called An Innocent Man. And surprisingly enough, this actually has some decent features from Kino Lorber as well. So you got a couple of interviews with two of the actors are in this film. You got a commentary and a trailer. So yeah, I'm glad to have this. I'm curious to fully watch this because not only do you not have Tom Selleck, you also have F. Murray Abraham in here. He's a highly recognized actor in this film, so I figured I'd go ahead and get it. And it's Tom fucking Selleck. What more can I say? And next up here, Kino Lorber did do a Blu-ray of this, but that one, from what I understood, didn't have a whole lot of features. So I bought this one, which is it's kind of like a Region B Blu-ray, but someday I hope to actually get a Region 3 Blu-ray player and watch it on here, and that's the film Runaway Train. This one has a lot more features on here. You actually have some actual interviews with several cast members. You actually have one with Jon Voight, Eric Roberts, and there's like another interview with an actor. You also have an interview with the director. I think you may have a commentary on here. I'm not sure. I think the Kino Lorber one had a commentary. I don't know about this, but I think this one had a little bit more features. That's why I bought it, and I think it's well worth it. I keep hearing it's a pretty damn good film. I haven't fully watched it, but hey, glad to have it. And what else do I have? I have a shit ton of Blu-rays, so yeah, you have to excuse me. Hey, what's up, Sam? I got that taken care of. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do the ones from Best Buy. Here, I always thought this film, I haven't watched it in a good while, but I remember thinking it's a bit of an odd film, but I decided to buy it for the hell of it because you have a pretty interesting cast, and that's the film Southland Tales. You have Dwayne Johnson, you have Sean William Scott, Sarah Michelle Gellar is in this film. You have, what's her face? Amy Poehler's in it, Sherry O'Terry, Mandy Moore, Christopher Lambert, John Larroquette. Pretty solid cast all around. And plus, this also has a 2K remastering of the film itself. And that was actually approved by the director as well. You also have like two different cuts. You have the theatrical cut and the Cannes cut, actually. So yeah, it's good to get two different versions on here, so you can't say no to that. Next up, I have another film that I thought was always funny, and that's the film Superbad, with Jonah Hill, Michael Cera, Emma Stone, I think is the actor's name. You also have Seth Rogen in there, Bill Hader. Always thought this was a fun film, especially with Christopher Mintz-Plasse, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, as McLovin. So yeah, he definitely made the film for me as well. So yeah, but I'm glad to have this. So it's of course the unrated version. And next up here, I haven't even fully watched this, but I keep hearing a lot of good praise for this film, and that's World War Z. Get two different versions of the film. Get an unrated cut in here that's like 7 minutes longer, and it's Brad Pitt. What more can I say? So yeah. Hey, yeah, you remember Superbad 2, huh, Sam? That's cool. And then next up is I always thought this film was kind of a fun little, nostalgic movie. Nice little throwback to the 80s, and that's the film Ready Player One, directed by Steven Spielberg. I think he has a film coming out this year. I think it's West Side Story, if I'm not mistaken. I always thought this film was a solid little movie for me. I'm glad to have it. And these films were the ones I bought at Best Buy, so yeah. Okay, I think that is it for that. And next up here, I'm going to do these other two films. These are the movies that are not officially been released on Blu-ray. I don't know if they ever will be, but I'm very glad to have them. I'll start off with this one. This one is a very underrated flick called The Hitcher. It has Rutger Hauer in here, C. Thomas Howell. Sadly, Rutger Hauer died a couple years back almost. May he rest in peace. And you got a pretty solid amount of features. You got a commentary by the director and even the screenwriter. Even the commentary by the two actors, Hauer and C. Thomas Howell. You also have a commentary by the composer as well and the producer. And you also have a documentary on here. I don't know if it's the same on YouTube, but I believe that one has an interview with Rutger Hauer and C. Thomas Howell as well. So you also got a teaser and trailer. So it's good to see that it's got it's getting some recognition, because it definitely deserves an official release. And that's why I bought this, because I don't think this is going to get an official release anytime soon. It's possible that it might, but you just never know. And this film here, I have no idea why it never got an official release. And this is just a great Arnold Schwarzenegger flick right here, and that's the film True Lies. Definitely a fun action film. You're fired. And I never even owned this film on DVD, so yeah, I'm just glad to have this. You also get I guess you have two different versions. You have just the regular widescreen, then you have like an open matte version that allows you to see 20% more of the picture, apparently. Actually, no, 25% more. And it's presented in 1080p, which is obviously what this is. You also got some making of featurettes. You even got a 1995 promo featurette. Hell, you even got interviews with I almost said Stallone. You got interviews with Schwarzenegger, Jamie Lee Curtis, and even James Cameron himself. So it's got a good amount of features on this kind of self-made Blu-ray, and I'm glad to own this film. About fucking time it gets another recognition. This movie was a hit, so it deserves a fucking good Blu-ray release. And it's fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger. What more can you say about this? And then next up, I'm going to do this. Okay, do I have... Yeah, I have Doom. It's more likely in storage, but I do have that film. Next up here, I'm going to show off these other Blu-rays here. And it's in this box, as you can tell by the thumbnail. That's why I said this was a massive collection. So, I don't know which one I want to start with, but I'll start with this one. I got the film called Rush. I remember seeing some of it. I haven't fully watched it, but I always thought this was a solid film. You got Jason Patric, you got Jennifer Jason Leigh, you got Sam Elliott. You even have what's his face? Eric Clapton, a well-known artist. He actually even did the music as well as the Tears in Heaven song for this film. So you got a good cast and you got a damn good artist on here. What more could you want? I figure out a way to put these. Anyway, you got another film here, Terminal Velocity, with Charlie Sheen and Natasha Kinski. You also have James Gandolfini in there, the late James Gandolfini, who's no longer with us. Even Christopher McDonald's also in here. Always thought this was a fun little film. Sadly, not very much in terms of features. You just have a commentary, a trailer, and I've heard the soundtrack's pretty kick-ass from what I heard. So yeah, glad to have it. It's just a fun little film. Next up here, I have something from the Hannibal collection, and that's the actual film Hannibal with Anthony Hopkins and Julianne Moore. I haven't fully watched this, but it has to be good, right? It's fucking Hannibal Lecter. And but yeah, and from what I understood, the features, I think they're ported over from the previous 2-disc edition DVD. There was a previous Blu-ray, but I don't know if it had any of those features. So thankfully, Kino Lorber actually did the smart thing and got some of those features on here. So yeah, good amount of features. You have like a shitload of deleted scenes. But the best thing about this is it has a new 4K restoration that was actually supervised by the cinematographer himself. So yeah, glad to have this. And next up here, I haven't fully watched it, but I remember, it's got a good cast in here, and that's the film Death Becomes Her. Yeah, you have Meryl Streep, Bruce Willis, Goldie Hawn, pretty solid cast all around. Even though it says it's a collector's edition, it doesn't have a whole lot of features. Screen Factory tends to be kind of mixed these days. They can either go all out or they can kind of drop the ball, but I'm very lucky I got this because apparently I think this was going out of print at one point, but thankfully it hasn't gone out of print just yet, but I just want to get it before the price goes up and I can get 15% off. A good majority of these Blu-rays that I got 15% off, and plus I also accumulated a lot of eBay bucks, and because of that I ended up getting, well, it was from other stuff, but I also got like $8 worth of eBay bucks on this. So yeah, good to get this stuff. Anywho, I have another Kino Lorber Blu-ray, and that's the film Bad Company with Ellen Barkin, Lawrence Fishburne. You have Frank Langella in here. Pretty solid cast. Not a whole lot of features. You have a commentary. You have like stills, behind the scenes stuff. But it's a gallery and a trailer. That's pretty much it. Here, another Kino Lorber Blu-ray. I've been curious about wanting to watch this film fully, and that's the film called The River. You have Mel Gibson, Sissy Spacek, and Scott Glenn. Not very much in terms of features, but I'm glad to have this. Curious to finally get a full watch. And here. This here I probably should have showed off first, but I like this film. It's a very fun film, and it's a film called The Hard Way. I already watched this, but most of these Blu-rays, the Kino Lorber Blu-rays that I bought, were brand new. But back on the subject, this is a fun little film with Michael J. Fox and James Woods. Their chemistry really works well. Sadly, not a whole lot of features on here either. You have a commentary with the director and a trailer, and that's pretty much it. But I'm very glad to have this. It's definitely worth a look if you want to check it out. Then next up here, I have seen this film before apparently, but I don't remember because I actually saw it in theaters like a long time ago, and I was kind of not happy because I wanted to see RoboCop 2. But I figured I'd go ahead and get it just to have the collection. It's kind of a well-known old school cartoon. That's believe it or not, that's the Jetsons, the movie here. And you got a fairly okay features, just an audio interview with one of the voice actors here. So yeah. But not a whole lot of features, but glad to have this for the collection. And then next up, I have another film here that I always kind of liked, and it's a film called Paradise. You have Melanie Griffin, you have Don Johnson. They have pretty solid chemistry with each other. You also Elijah Wood was also in this film. And I always thought that the setting, the characters were kind of an interesting little drama there, and the friendship that was between Elijah Wood's character and Thora Birch's character was also something memorable in this film. So glad to have it. Then I have another Melanie Griffin film that she did after that, and that's a film called Stranger Among Us. I haven't fully watched it, but I'm curious to give this a full watch, and I'm curious if it's any good. I'm sure it is, but not a whole lot in terms of features. So there you go. Next up here, I always thought this was a very gripping, drama film, and that's the film Lorenzo's Oil. And not a whole lot of features, but I always thought the chemistry between Nick Nolte and Susan Sarandon was really the strong point of this movie. They really worked well, and I think it's kind of based on it's actually based on a true story because of their son and Lorenzo, and the fact that he has a rare terminal disease, and they're fighting tooth and nail to keep their son alive. So it's a very gripping drama, but very well made and very well acted, and definitely worth a look. And very glad to have it. Sorry. This here I always thought was a good film that Macaulay Culkin did. It really showed that Macaulay was willing to stretch out his acting muscles, and that's the film The Good Son. And yeah, it's good. Sorry about that. It's good. Anyways, it's got a good amount of features. You got interviews with the director. You even got interviews with some of the actors. So yeah, it's cool to have this film on Blu-ray. And sadly, Macaulay's not interviewed, but I really like to hear his thoughts on how on this film because he did a really good job. Excuse me. And Sam's, I watched Lorenzo's Oil. That's cool. I didn't think anyone else watched that film. And yeah, more Blu-rays to come. Oh, you watch The Good Son too as well. That's cool. Okay. Yeah, a lot of Blu-rays here. I guess I'll wrap up the ones that were in that box. Here I actually bought this other film. I always thought this was a good little film, and it's called Legal Eagles with Robert Redford, Deborah Weiner, and Daryl Hannah. Pretty solid casting here. You also have Brian Dennehy, Terrence Stamp, Stephen Hill. It was also directed by Ivan Reitman, the guy that did the first 2 Ghostbuster films. Always thought it was a solid little film right there. You got making a feature and a trailer, and that's pretty much it. But good to see it get a Blu-ray release. So glad to have it. Next up here, I thought this was a nice little 80s, fun little 80s film, and that's the film Space Camp. Got a pretty solid cast. You have Kate Capshaw, Leah Thompson, Kelly Preston, who's sadly no longer with us anymore, Lee Phoenix. Technically, he's now River Phoenix, but he was credited as Lee Phoenix back in the day. You also have Tate Donovan, and you also have Tom Skerritt in there as well. Sorry, my nose was itching. You got a good score by John Williams. Thought this was a nice little fun 80s romp. I believe, what's his face? Frank Welker voiced the robot in this movie, so good to have this film. The next up, I know it's kind of weird that I have it, but I got to have this film because it's cheesy fun, and that's the film Teen Witch. It's actually, I think it was on YouTube for free, but I don't know if it's still doing that. But anyways, you actually got some good features on here by Kino Lorber, and not to mention Robin Lively is kind of a cutie, kind of good looking woman in this film. So yeah, because she would also be in Karate Kid 3. I think those are the only 2 movies I know her in. But I remember watching this, so guess I'm still not over what I had a couple weeks ago. Anyways, you got some interviews with actually Robin Lively and Dan Gunther. In fact, they're also on the commentary as well. And you got the Weir brothers. I don't know who they are, but there's interviews. But anyways, I'm glad to have this because who knows, it might go out of print soon. And just so you know, there is actually some Kino Lorber titles that were almost going out of print, which I'll get to. Next up here, I'll actually go ahead and do this one. I meant to do this first, but I never did. But anyways, I'm glad to see this finally got a Blu-ray release. I did a review of this back a couple years back, but now I'm glad to have this official release, and that's the sci-fi underwater horror film Deep Star 6. You also got some pretty good features by Kino Lorber. They actually went all out on this, so it's one of the rare times that Kino Lorber can actually do a good Blu-ray and actually, do some good features if they put in the effort. But anyways, it's a fun little underwater horror film. This one came out first before Leviathan and The Abyss. Speaking of which, The Abyss definitely needs a Blu-ray. I wish James fucking Cameron would get off on his ass and do a Blu-ray, a special edition, 4K restoration, whatever. Get off your ass, Cameron, and do a special edition of The Abyss. But anyways, I'm glad to see that this got some good treatment, and it's definitely worth the watch if you haven't seen it. Next up, I have The Town with Ben Affleck. I remember watching some of this film. It seemed like a pretty solid flick. You also had 2 different cuts of the film. You have the theatrical version, the extended cut as well. You also have an alternate ending, I believe, that's on here, I believe. And some pretty solid features on here, so glad to have it. Next up here, I have no idea if this is like a different... This was released by the same company, but I don't know if it's a different version. But anyway you slice, I'm glad to have this. It's a renowned, great classic sequel, and that's the film Dawn of the Dead by George A. Romero. And this one I bought, this Blu-ray was much cheaper than the first release that they did, because apparently the first, you can still get it, but it was like over $100 on eBay. This one here I bought on Zavi, and even though this is like a Region B even though this requires a Region B player, this was much cheaper. This was like around $40 plus versus paying $100 plus or even more for the first edition release. So this one is definitely the best way to go. I don't know how much cheaper it is now, but I'm very glad I got this because I'm not going to pay $100 plus. And plus, this has like 4 discs. And yeah, I think you have 3 different cuts of the film on here, so I can't complain on this, especially if you get it cheaper. But it's George fucking A. Romero. What more can you say? It's Dawn of the fucking Dead. And, hey, what's up, June? Ty? My Deep Star 6. That's cool. That's great. Here's more Blu-rays. Here, I'm going to show this other. I haven't fully watched it, but I hear it's a pretty gripping drama, and that's the film At Close Range with Sean Penn and Christopher Walken. This Blu-ray was done by a company called Imprint. They did several other Blu-rays that I'm about to show off as well. This one has some good features on here. You got commentary with director James Foley. You got Crime in Pennsylvania, an interview with composer Patrick Leonard, a couple of other things. So it's got a good fair amount of features on here. And Sally, here's another Kino Lorber Blu-ray, which has hardly any features. And I remember not minding this film. It's called Consenting Adults with Kevin Kline, Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio, and Kevin Spacey. And yeah, I'm glad to own this film because I do like Kevin Kline. And Spacey can be a good actor even despite what's happened to him recently. And I do like Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio. They all do a pretty solid job in this film. I know it sucks what happened with him, Ty, but but I'm trying to separate at least he's not Victor Salva. I'll say that much. Next up here, I'm very glad to have this one movie because I remember wanting to get it even if the film was pretty long. It took a while for the film to even get on DVD and hell even on Blu-ray. And that's the historical biopic film 1492 Conquest of Paradise. And even though there's not a whole lot of features, there's commentary plus, however, there's deleted scenes, which I don't know what kind of deleted scenes are, but I'm curious about that. I always remember liking this film. At least I liked it better than The Discovery. That The Discovery that had what's his face, Marlon Brando, Tom Selleck. Speaking of which, I do have a Tom Selleck movie that I'm going to show off. And then, anyways, next up here, even though I do have one of Bruce Lee's films, I figured I'd get the entire collection, and it's the Bruce Lee film collection here, which includes The Big Boss, Fist of Fury, The Way of the Dragon, Enter the Dragon, Game of Death. And from what I understood, all those films have a 4K remastering, or at least actually the first four films. There's actually a 2K digital restoration of the special edition of Enter the Dragon. So yeah, you also got a good amount of features, you name it. So yeah, it's Bruce fucking Lee. What more can I say? And last but not least, well, not last. Sorry about that. I have so many Blu-rays, it's hard to keep track. But anyways, I always wanted to get this film, but I don't know if there's ever going to be a true full director's cut. And plus, I want to get the theatrical cut, and this is probably the only time you can even get it. And that's the film is what I'm talking about is Last of the Mohicans. You have two different versions. You have theatrical and director's cut. You actually have a commentary by the director, and you have a making of featurette. So yeah, I haven't fully watched. Jeez, I haven't fully watched this film in a long time. But I remember liking it because it's Daniel Day-Lewis. He always tries to get into character. He always tries to study his roles before the cameras say action and pretty much. So yeah, very glad to have this, and yeah, it's a good film. Let's see. And then, I forgot to mention this. Next up here, I actually have a film here that I thought, is cheesy 80s fun, and that's the film North Shore. You have Matt Adler, Nia Peples. In fact, Nia Peples is in Deep Star 6. And, Nia Peples, from what you can see here, is kind of a cutie. And you also have a good amount of features on here. It's one of those times where Kino Lorber decides they want to put 100% into their Blu-rays. So, yeah. You got a commentary by the director. Then you have a North Shore Unscripted, with director and cast. I don't know if it has all the cast members, but I do know that some of their interviews are actually on YouTube, but I don't know if they're the same. You also have deleted scenes, alternate ending. Yeah, good amount of features on this Blu-ray, so you can't complain on that. Speaking of which, I also have the soundtrack to North Shore. It's actually an unofficial release. I don't think there ever was a soundtrack release, but you can actually buy one on eBay. I forget what the seller's name is. Maybe I might put the link to his eBay page, because he does a lot of soundtracks. He even did one for Tough Turf and so many other 80s films. So yeah, I'm glad to have the soundtrack for this and the film itself. And speaking of Kino Lorber, there was a Blu-ray, there was a film that you can actually see this for free, but if you want to get the Blu-ray, you better hurry up and get it. And the film is called Blown Away, with Jeff Bridges and Tommy Lee Jones. You have a good amount of features on here. You have a commentary with the director Stephen Hopkins. You also have a Making a Blown Away, the Take Me Home music video, and the trailer. And it's got Jeff Bridges in there. You have Tommy Lee Jones. You even have Lloyd Bridges in there. Forrest Whitaker. Jeez, I'm coughing a lot. I can't believe this shit. But anyways, it's a solid film. Definitely worth watching. You can actually see this for free on YouTube if it's still there. Last I checked, it was. But it's good to have a physical copy, because I think this is going to go out of print. There's another film with Charlie Sheen that I wanted to get called No Man's Land, but the price for that Blu-ray, even for a pre-owned copy, we're talking $80, and for a brand new copy, we're talking 150 plus. Hell no, I'm not paying that much. It's kind of ridiculous. But yeah. And I don't know if I showed off these Blu-rays here. If I didn't, I think I did. I can't remember. Did I show these off? Feel free to answer them. This is a good film. Tom Selleck. It's Magnum fucking PI. Got a good amount of features. And this here, Runaway Train, damn good movie from what I've heard. This had more features than the Kino Lorber Blu-ray. That's why I bought this. But I have to get a region-free Blu-ray player to play that and the Dawn of the Dead Blu-ray set. So yeah, thought I re-show those in case if I didn't. Here I'm going to go to the Amazon ones, and then I'll get to this last pile here. First off, there's another Blu-ray that Imprint did. I do have the DVD, but I got this for the features, and that's for the film Fire in the Sky. Good to see it got a good treatment. You got a 1080p presentation. You have a commentary with the director. You even have some interviews. You have an interview with the special effects supervisor. You even have an interview with the composer. You also have an interview with Barbara Patrick and even D.B. Sweeney on here, so that's really good. It's amazingly innocent. The future. I guess you're talking about the Tom Selleck film. But anyways, glad to have this film. It's definitely a good movie for sure. I think I paid probably around $40 for this, but well worth it. And plus, most of these Imprint Blu-rays are like on limited copies, so you never know if they're going to be sellers that are going to be scalping the shit out of these for the prices. So I go ahead and get them now when you can. So yeah. And I brought another. Bought another one, another great film. Unfortunately, I hope the sequels will get the same treatment. At least, hopefully, the second one does. And that's the 1990 film cult classic Tremors. Fun little movie. Kevin Bacon, Fred Ward. What was it? Not Michael Gross. You even have Reba McEntire in this movie. And you have a new 4K restoration of this movie as well. And a good amount of features that I don't think were on the DVD or the previous Blu-ray. So yeah, you even got a short film on the second disc and some interviews. So yeah, very glad to have this. Very well worth it. I actually got it for a good price. I got it for like under $30, I think. So definitely well worth it. If you see this, if you see it for $30 or less, get it while you can, because you never know when this will go out of print and become limited. So, and I know this isn't next up here. I know this film isn't the best Bruce Willis film, but fuck it, I might as well get it. And it's Color of Night. You know, you have a pretty solid cast. Not only do you have him, you have Jane March, who's actually not a bad actress, even though I have to admit she looks pretty fucking good naked. So yeah. But you also got 2 different cuts in this movie. This is Jesse, one of the mods' brother over on the Global. His brother was a... That's cool. Jesse. Have I interacted with you before? I don't know. I'm kind of lost. But anyways, not the best film, but you get 2 different cuts. You got a commentary. Moss Channel. Oh, okay. Welcome, man. Welcome to the stream. Thank you for that. Thank you for that interesting bit of trivia. I appreciate it. And next up, figured, you know, I gotta have this film. And it's because I saw, because I was watching some of her stuff. She goes by Colonel Quartz, which is the main character in this movie, and she does some pretty good content. And she has a very cerebral mindset. She gives her 2 cents on people that are dealing with false accusations, like Marilyn Manson and what's his face, Johnny Depp. And yeah, she gets some pretty good content, and a shout out to her. I don't know if she's even watching this, but figured I'd go ahead and get that film because of her channel name. And that's the film Apocalypse Now, Final Cut. And unfortunately, this has a 4K one, so I would have to probably get like a 4K Blu-ray, but luckily this has the actual Blu-ray. You actually have the Final Cut on Blu-ray as well as the theatrical and the redo version. Plus, you got a good amount of special features. Like you have like new special features and 5 hours worth of special features on these Blu-rays. So you can't complain. I figured I'd go ahead and add it to my collection because it's a very renowned classic. So what more can I say? It's Apocalypse Now. I gotta get some water. I'll be right back. Man, I didn't expect it to go on this long, but oh well. All right. I think these are the last Blu-rays. And these are the ones I recently got a week ago, or barely a week ago. Freaking gnats. Anywho, I'll just go with the ones that are not the imprint releases. I'll start off with this one. I got another war-related film. Jeez. Sorry about that. As I was saying, I got another war-related movie, and that's The Deer Hunter. Another film with Christopher Walken. Pretty gripping war-related film. This is also in 4K, but I believe you can also watch this in Blu-ray. So, got a good amount of features. You got new interviews. I need to give this a watch because I haven't fully watched this film. But I hear it's a pretty damn good movie. You know, this came out in 78. Apocalypse Now came out in 79. You know, there are 2 really gripping, realistic films right there. So, yeah. Might as well add them to my collection. Jeez, that's so much. Hang on a second there. I'm going to have to... So many fucking Blu-rays. That's why I'm not going to get any more for a while. Okay. Now maybe I can concentrate on these. Okay. Talk about The Deer Hunter. Next up, I always thought this was a solid, underrated film right here, and that's The Hidden. Unfortunately, got a very unnecessary sequel. You got Kyle MacLachlan, Michael Nouri. Definitely good use of sci-fi horror and action. I don't know what the picture quality is like, but I'm pretty sure it's an improvement. The features are pretty much the same for the previous DVD, but I figured I'd go ahead and add this because this here is a really solid film and definitely should give it a watch whenever you give it, if you catch it on TV or something. So yeah, give it a watch. Good little film. Don't see The Hidden 2. It's a fucking piece of shit. This movie is a classic in its own right. Okay. Got more imprint Blu-rays. We're going to start off with the oldest one here. Get them. Start with Black Sunday. Has Robert Shaw, Bruce Dern. Haven't really watched this film, but it's got to be interesting, I would say, right? Give it a watch. You got a couple of you got one interview and you got like a featurette and commentary. Fairly okay features on here. Then I definitely have seen this film, but it's been a good while. And it's called The Deep. You get some really good features. You got a commentary and you got selected scenes from the 3-hour special edition. So I'm guessing there's a different cut on here. I'm not sure, but I don't know. We got we got a trailer here, and I'm pretty sure the picture quality should be good. Been a while, but I remember liking it. Then we got another film I haven't fully watched, but I've heard of. It's called Dead Again, because you have Kenneth Branagh, who also acts, and I think he wrote this film too. No, he just directed it. Sorry, he starred and directed this film. So yeah, and you got like a visual essay, you got a commentary. So not a whole lot of features on here, sadly, but I'm curious to give this a watch. And then next up, this was the last Blu-ray I technically bought, but I figured I'd go ahead and throw it with the imprint collection. And that's the film Regarding Henry with Harrison Ford. Not a whole lot of features, but you do have some vintage interviews with Harrison Ford, Annette Bening, and Mickey Allen. You got a commentary, and that's pretty much it. And Jesse says, always mix the movies, The Deep, the Abyss, and well, The Deep came out in 1977. 3 movies came out in 1989. That's Deep Star 6, Leviathan, and The Abyss. Those came out in 1989, just so you know, Jesse. And next up here, I'm very glad this film got a good treatment on Blu-ray. I never owned the DVD, but I'm very glad that it got a good, solid treatment on Blu-ray, and that's the film, the Kurt Russell film specifically, Breakdown. I think that film's also available for free on YouTube, but it's not an HD copy. Luckily, this is. You actually got a 1080p high definition from a 4K scan on Paramount, and you got some interviews here. You got interviews with the director and the writer, Jonathan Mastow. You actually get an interview with the stunt coordinator. You also get an interview with a person working with with the composer, Basil Poledouris. And speaking of which, since you mentioned Leviathan, you mean Peter Weller of RoboCop? Yeah, that's him. Peter Weller. Yep, that's it. And they also have Jack Noseworthy interviewed on here as well. And you got an interview with film critics. So yeah, it's actually got a good amount of features on here. And then I guess last but not least, I got the Richard Donner film Timeline. I actually recently saw this film on TV. That was a decent flick. You got a 1080p of this movie, and then I think the features were ported over from the previous DVD. There was a Blu-ray, but I don't think any of the features that are on here were on that Blu-ray. So thankfully they were ported on here. So that's good. And I think that actually will do it. So yeah, I got a shitload of movies. But I'm glad to get them. I'm glad to get them for 15% off. The majority of these Blu-rays I bought were 15% off. Plus, like I said before, an accumulation of eBay bucks. I think before I got at least $10 worth of eBay bucks for the ones I bought a couple weeks ago, and then last week it was $8. There was actually one DVD I was going to get, but apparently I can buy an HD copy on YouTube much cheaper. Brando says, Scotty, have you watched? I don't think I have. No. But yeah. Believe it or not, I'm not going to buy any Blu-rays for a good while. For months. Real Logan Masker. Hey, what's up, man? But yeah, that's going to do it for me on the Blu-rays. Well, thanks, Real Logan Massacre. Okay. Anywho, hey, I'm starting a channel soon. That's cool, man. But yeah, it's after midnight. I should probably go ahead and get going. I appreciate all that have dropped in and stopped by, and I don't know when I'll do another Blu-ray update. Whenever I probably buy more of them, which is it's not going to be for a while. So. That's cool, Jesse. But anyways, that's going to do it for me. Well, Logan, you'll have to probably go back and rewatch the stream. And I'm about to end this because I'm getting a little tired and yeah. But I appreciate you for stopping by because I'm about to go ahead and get out of here because I got stuff I got to do. So. Anywho, that does it for the Blu-ray update. I appreciate all that came in here. If you like this video, feel free to give it a like. Feel free to comment, give your thoughts. And we will see you later. See you later, people. Thank you for stopping by. Bye.